Okay, now we're gonna take our cape and we're going to wrap it around the back side and we're going to make a knot. See how it's like a cape? So all we're gonna do is we're gonna just make one simple knot, okay? We're not gonna make a double knot, and we're gonna kind of pull it as tight as we can, pulling those two pieces together, okay? So here is going to be an important part to watch and pay attention to, but I think you should stop what you're doing and watch for a couple times before you try, okay? So I am still holding on to those two pieces after I've tied that knot, okay? I am now going to pick up the neighboring piece to these two. So I'm going to pick up this neighboring piece and this neighboring piece. So I have four pieces, okay? Let me get everything else out of the way. And this is our starting one because obviously we're working with the knot here. So we've got our 4 pieces. We're gonna be making our square knots, okay? This is called square knots. So we're going to take our furthest right piece. We're going to make a backwards 4, almost a backwards 4 shape. And we're gonna put it over those center 2 pieces. And then we're gonna take our farthest left piece and we're gonna put it over. And then we're gonna put it under, and I'm gonna pull that through. Okay, you're just watching right now, remember. So you've got that, and I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm gonna take that initial knot, and I'm gonna really snug that in and pull that tight. I'm still holding on to those 2 pieces, so I still have my first 4. And then I'm going to take my furthest to the right, and I'm gonna make another backwards 4, but it's gonna go under those 2 pieces. And then I'm gonna take my furthest left piece, and I'm gonna go under that piece. And then I'm gonna go over the 2 center pieces, and then through. So it's almost like we're just doing that same step, but opposite. And then I'm going to pull it snug, and that is our very first square knot. Okay? Now we're going to put this 4 aside, and we're gonna pick up completely 4 new ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our neighbors, our 4 neighbors to the side. Put those 4 away, turn it. We have 4 new friends. And you can see that on this 4, we've got a full loop and then 1 piece of each. Okay? So now we are going to, with our 4 pieces, take our furthest to the right piece, make a backwards 4 over those 2 pieces, take our furthest to the left piece, go over that piece, under, and pull it through. And then we're gonna slowly pull it up to where it's snug on that top knot. And then we still have those same 4 pieces, and we're gonna take the piece furthest to the right, make a backwards 4, and go under those 2 pieces. And then the piece on the furthest to the left, you're gonna go under, and then you're gonna go over, and you're gonna pull it through. And you're going to pull it super snug. So now you have your first 2. Okay? And now what are we gonna do? We're gonna put this 4 aside, and we're gonna pick up 4 new friends. Totally new friends. We're gonna take the 4 and the one furthest to the right, we're going to make a backwards 4. We're going over those 2 center ones. We're taking our furthest to the left one. We're going over that piece and then under, through, pulling it snug. Sometimes you have to pull this one snug and then this one snug and then at the same time. And then we have those same 4 pieces. The piece all the way to the right, we're going to make a backwards 4 and we're going under those 2 center pieces. We're going under that piece, over the 2 center, through, and pull. So now we have our first 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to move along, pick up our next 4 pieces, okay? So it's always going to be, on this first row, it's always going to be 1 full lark knot and then the 2 neighbors, okay? Backwards 4, over, over, under, through, pull it snug, and then backwards 4, under, under, over, over, through. Put those 4 aside. Grab 4 new ones. Backwards 4, over, over, under those 2, through, backwards 4, under, under, over, through. Pull it snug. Those 4 away. Grab 4 more. Over, over, under, through, under, under, over, through. Okay, now we're at our final 4. So here is the one we started with. Here's the one we just finished. Our final 4, we go over, over, under, through, under, under, over, whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry guys. Under, under, over, through. Okay, we are done with our very first row. Now, to start our second row, we are still holding those 4, and then here are our first 4. Well, we need 4 again, so we're gonna take our center 4, so we're kind of bringing these 2 together, and then we're doing our neighbor to each. So we're kind of combining the 2 knots into 4. See that? Okay, this is the step where you can do some spacing. So for instance, you can see on this one, after we got done with that first row, now we're doing this. So we can do this little spacing right here. And then as we go to the next one, we can do even a little bit more spacing as we go down. So right now, I like to do, I don't know, like a 1/2 inch spacing right here. So it's the same exact step, okay? We've got over, over, under, through, and then right here, instead of pulling it all the way snug to the top, okay, you're just gonna pull it, leaving that kind of 1/2 inch right here. See that space right there? So then the second step is under, under, over, through, and then here is where we kind of carefully take all the pieces, pull them tight, and this is our the first one of our second row, okay? So now we put those 4 down, and then we pick up 4 more, the 4 next ones. Like this, okay? So we go over, over, under, through, and I'm only going up to about right there. And then under, under, over, through, and I'm carefully eyeballing it and making sure that everything is looking even compared to this first one. Sometimes this piece right here might need to just be pulled ever so slightly. So I just take this piece, watch right here as I pull. Just pull it a teeny tiny bit and then pull that snug. So now we have those 2. So now I put that 4 down and I pick up 4 more, and we're doing that all the way around, keeping that same spacing as we go. Over, over, under, through, and then under, under, over, through. That spacing looks pretty even compared to that one. So I'll move on to the next one, put those 4 aside, grab 4 more, over, over, under, through, under, under, over, through. And so this is the part where I, instead of just pulling it tight really fast, I just kind of take my time to adjust all the pieces. So I can even take this one, pull this one separately, take this one, pull this one separately, pull them together. Just make sure that everything is really feeling even compared to our one from before, okay? And do that all the way around. Okay, now we're on the very last one of this row. So we do over, same exact step, over, under, through, pull it tight, like that, and then under, under, over, through. So you can see that my first knot and my second to last knot and my last knot are all just about the same spacing for all the way around, okay? So now that we just finished that 4, now what are we gonna do? We're gonna take the 2 from this piece, the 2 from this piece, combine them together to make our 3rd row, okay? So this is where really you can kind of do, like you can space it exactly evenly. You can go a little bit further down to make it more of a gap. I like to keep it pretty evenly so that this kind of looks like an even shape. So I've got these 4. I'm going over, over, under, through, under, under, over, through. Just like that. Put those 4 down, pick up the next 4. Same exact thing all the way around. Put down those 4, pick up a new 4. Okay, we're now at the last one of our 3rd row. Over, over, under, through, under, under, over, through. Okay? So now every time I'm done with the row, I kind of like to just like pull, turn, and kind of just make sure all my pieces seem to be even, which they do. So now we're going to do our 4th row, and I actually like to go 5 rows down. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I actually like to go about 5 rows down. You could stop at 4, or you could go down to 5, or you could even go down to 6, but I like the length of this fringe on this one. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now we're on our 4th row, okay? Just like before, we're finished with these 4. And then we've got these 4. So we're going to take the 2 center pieces so just like before, we've got the 4 that we just ended on, and then you can grab the 4 that are right next to it, and you're just going to take the center 2 pieces from each to make your new 4. And since this is a dome shape and it's kind of like, you know, curved, as you go down, you're not going to have that kind of spacing. It's going to gradually just get a little bit bigger, but that's just because of the shape of the curve of the dome. So you're kind of going to be having, your spacing is just a little bit bigger as you go. So for this one, it's like that. And then here's a good example that I'll share. So right here, this is a little bit too snug. I want this to be a little bit more spacing. So before I pull anything tight right here, I'm going to kind of just wiggle that knot down a little bit to create the right spacing that I wanted. And then I'm gonna put those 4 aside. I'm gonna pick up the next 4. And go over, under, through, under, over, through. I'm gonna make sure I like the spacing before I pull it tight. And you also want to make sure that your row 2 up is right above the one you're working on. We'll grab your next 4 and go over, under, through, under, over, pull it tight. Grab your next 4. Okay, I'm now on the final row, and I'm just gonna do the same stitch or the same knot again on the last row. Kind of doing the spacing that you like. You can do it bigger, like longer spacing, or like that. Putting that 4 down, picking up 4 new ones. Okay, now we are finished with all of our knots, and now we are going to want to trim before we start to unfringe these pieces. So we definitely have a lot of extra cord, and so what I do in this step is I actually hold it up and I trim just all the way around it about an inch past the bottom of the lid, because we have to also remember that the base of the Desert Mist also adds maybe an inch. But once we unravel and brush this out, it actually adds a little bit more length. But for now, I just like to trim off about an inch. So you can really just take it off, lay it out. And then you can even just like line up your lid. You want to line it up where it sits on the lid, so right there. And then this doesn't have to be precise. Just don't cut it too short because you obviously can't go back. But if you cut it too long, that's okay. So just cut like that. And now we can just sit, and you want to take all of these pieces, every single piece, and you want to unravel it, okay? Each piece, it's like a 4-ply piece of cord. So you just want to sit in front of the TV, binge a Netflix show, and just unravel every single one of them fully up to the very top. Okay, now that you're here, I just have this brush that I've used for so many rainbows and tassels. It's actually pretty broken, but it doesn't matter. It just needs to be any kind of brush or comb that you can just take and brush out all of the fringe. And flip it over, do the same. And then now you're just gonna wanna set up your Desert Mist with the lid on top of the device. And then now you're gonna wanna set up your Desert Mist with the dome on top of the diffuser. And you're gonna wanna put on your cover, and then we'll do our final trim.